they missed it, though, is this. Those who descend within the Merovingian dynasty from Godfrey de Bouillon himself are of something called the Venetian Black Guelph lineage. It is the most prominent occult lineage in the world, and it goes back to Godfrey de Bouillon through someone named Henry the Black of the Guelph line. Prince Charles is of that lineage. In other words, he is a direct descendant of Godfrey de Bouillon through the Venetian Black Guelph lineage, which is the unholy of unholies, if you will, within the Merovingian lineage. Juan Carlos, on the other hand, is a descendant of Baudouin I, Godfrey de Bouillon's brother, who assumed the title King of Jerusalem after Godfrey de Bouillon died. That is not the Venetian Black Guelph lineage. Therefore, Prince Charles, should he ever choose to make the claim, will have a much stronger claim in the occult world to this title, this Crusader title, King of Jerusalem, than does Juan Carlos. Additionally, we have in this lineage of Prince Charles an individual who can, one day, step on the world scene and claim for himself royal hegemony to Jerusalem for all the major faiths that have historically vied for control of the city. For apostate Christianity, it is claimed to be descended from Jesus Christ. For Islam, a false religion, it is claimed to be descended from Muhammad. For apostate Israel, it is claimed to descend from Israel's King David. And by the way, Queen Elizabeth II's official lineage, which I do offer through Prophecy House with the Antichrist and a cup of tea for those who decide to obtain it, shows over 15 separate descents from King David and Judah. It goes back some 2,500 years. Now we're going to come back to the lineage in a moment when we deal with the Mideast peace process. In the meantime, let's move forward. Whose power base is behind the New World Order? When we talk about the New World Order, people hear of a number of organs. They hear of Freemasonry, that it's important to the New World Order. They hear of the Illuminati, that it's key to the New World Order. They hear of the Knights Templar, that they have a role to play in the New World Order. They hear of the Priori of Zion, which gave us the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, that blasphemous document that was used to stir up so much hatred and persecution against Israel in this century, particularly by the Nazis, etc. What I have here on the screen is something that is called the Garter Badge. Notice the garter around it. This Garter Badge purports to be the Black Prince, the founding prince of the Order of the Garter, and the Order of the Garter was founded by Edward III, who was the King of England at the time, and Edward the Black Prince, who was the Prince of Wales of the day, in 1348. This is supposed to be the Black Prince praying before God the Father and the crucified Christ, and this is supposed to be Mary. That's the official explanation of the Garter Badge. However, notice that this woman is holding a cat and a frog. In other words, she is a witch. This Garter Badge is actually a badge that is given to new witch kings and witch queens in Wicca. To become a witch king or a witch queen, you have to have a coven of covens beneath you. A coven is when a high priest has 12 other witches beneath her, so she becomes a high priestess, or a man becomes a high priest in Wicca. When that same person actually has a coven of covens, in other words, 12 covens of witches, 12 other high priests and high priestesses beneath them, who are over their own covens, that witch, male or female, becomes either a witch king or a witch queen. Now, what I want to show you is the garter on the coat of arms of Prince Charles to talk about the whole conspiracy of the New World Order. We're going to see more about that in a moment. This garter is the central symbol of the Order of the Garter. It has on it a motto that, when translated into English, means "Shame be to him who thinks ill of it," or "Evil be to him who thinks ill of it." This garter came when Edward the Black Prince picked up a garter that fell off of the Countess of Salisbury at a ball in the 1300s. That garter that fell off was a witch's garter. A high priestess in witchcraft wears a garter around her thigh that has a horseshoe-shaped buckle on it, roughly horseshoe-shaped, for every coven beneath her. So as a high priestess, she would normally have one horseshoe-shaped buckle. Instead of executing her, as Edward the Black Prince should have done under the law, he had her raised to a statue of prominence by picking up the garter and stating that he would make it an honorable symbol throughout all the world. And thus it became the central symbol of the Order of the Garter. Notice that this garter on the Prince of Wales coat of arms has 2 gold edges. In the real garter of the Order of the Garter, and I happen to have a photograph of one, these 2 gold edges are actually 2 rows of 169 gold buckles each, and they are horseshoe-shaped gold buckles. 1 row for the Prince of Wales of the day, and 1 row for the British monarch of the day, who are the 2 highest-ranking knights of the Order of the Garter by birth. 13 times 13 gold buckles for both the Prince of Wales, and then again for the British monarch. What that says in the occult world is that the Prince of Wales of the day is a witch king of witch kings, and the British monarch of the day is a witch king of witch kings, or in the case of the current queen, a witch queen of witch queens. A satanic parallel to the King of Kings that we read concerning Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, in the New Testament. That means that the Order of the Garter, when it was founded in 1348, constituted the core leadership of organized witchcraft on earth. Today it also constitutes the core leadership of organized Satanism on earth. The documentation for that is provided in the Antichrist and the Cup of Tea, and in fact, the current royal family has participated in Satanism even to the point, apparently according to witnesses' testimonies, of human sacrifice. But there's much more to it. In 1348, when the Order of the Garter was founded, it constituted the core leadership of something called the Priori of Zion, which existed to ensure the continuation of the Merovingian lineage, this lineage that claims descent from Jesus Christ, on the royal thrones of the royal houses of Europe. Merovingi, his descendants, were placed on the royal thrones of Europe through intermarriage over the ensuing centuries. Thus again, the British monarchy believes it's descended from Jesus Christ. Out of the Priori of Zion came the Knights Templar and the Rosicrucians. The Knights Templar were the bodyguards of the British monarchy during the Crusades, even before the Order of the Garter was formed. They are still the bodyguards of the British monarchy today, according to the British monarchy's own sources, and I have documented that in the Antichrist and the Cup of Tea. According to the monarchy, they are the oldest continuous armed bodyguard in the world. The Knights Templar implemented the modern international banking system, beginning with the Bank of England and then the Bank of France, using the temple treasure from Solomon's temple, which they claim they found during the Crusades. The modern banking industry, all of it, the money masters of the world, go back to the Knights Templar. Out of the Knights Templar and the Rosicrucians came English and French Freemasonry. Now we have to understand that by that time in history, the Order of the Garter comprised not just the core leadership of the Priori of Zion and organized Satanism and witchcraft on earth, but also of the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, and finally Freemasonry. And to give you an example of Freemasonry, the current Duke of Kent, who is the Queen's cousin, is considered to be the highest-ranking Mason in the world. The reason for that is that he is the Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England. That lodge is where the blue degrees, the first 3 degrees of both the York Rite and Scottish Rite Freemasonry, originated. For that reason, whoever is the Grand Master of that lodge is considered to be, technically, the highest-ranking Mason in the world. Well, it so happens that the Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England has been appointed by the British monarch for centuries. Before the current Duke of Kent, the Queen's cousin, had the position, his father, the Duke of Kent, had the position. And interestingly, our former President Kennedy, who was assassinated, his daughter was slated to marry the previous Duke of Kent. And he commented that his daughter was going to marry the highest-ranking Mason in the world. Prince Philip was offered the position of the Grand Mastership of the United Grand Lodge of England before the current Duke of Kent took it from his father. Prince Philip turned it down. He didn't need it. Prince Charles has since been offered the position. He has turned it down. He doesn't need it.